Hello, and welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 20 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks hung on to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus in a shootout by a score of 6-5. But before we get to the actual review tonight, if you could do me a really big favor and hit that like button and subscribe down below, we would greatly appreciate it. Helps the channel out a lot. Also, please leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the game. Let us know what you think about the season. Any kind of thoughts on certain players that you want to let us either to talk about. If you think there are things that we missed about the review or about the game, please let us know. We want to hear from you guys. And I'm joined once again back from a little vacation. Chai Sports fan Joe. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, and thanks for taking the reins on the podcast for our last game. Yeah, I apologize to our viewers. I was on vacation. I had a little outing in Las Vegas over the past weekend. So I spent today recovering, but was able to take in the game. So I'm happy to be back.
Hey, no need to apologize for going and having fun, man, especially with the last year that we've all had.
Right.
Um, but on that note, getting into the game, I don't think this game should have been as close as it was. 6-5, nail biter. I think this is one of the games this season that I think unfortunately was maybe dictated by the zebras rather than the players on the ice.
Yeah, a lot of stuff when called that, yeah, you kind of thought, okay, whatever, but it is what it is.
Yeah, 5 goals tonight between the two teams scored on the power play out of the 11. That is a lot. So that's something that hopefully the Hawks, I think, big notable, don't take this many penalties. Trying to,
Right, and it's I know I tweeted out, do you feel like the PK there's some course for concern there, allowing, 3 out of 4 power plays to be converted for the Blue Jackets?
look, I'm not sure necessarily on the penalty kill, but I do think special teams in general were really seeing the loss of Andrew Shaw. And I think a lot of people were talking about him not exactly being a necessary element of this team, and I think he's been a noticeable absence since he's been out. The power play kind of snapped back tonight, but it hadn't been doing too good since he's been out of the lineup. Obviously, now the penalty kill was pretty brutal tonight, finishing at 25%. Um, those are two areas that the Hawks were doing very well at I guess they're technically still on a little bit of a run, but when they were playing really, really well, those were two areas that were really clicking. So hopefully the penalty kill can get corrected and the power play can maintain what they did tonight. So we'll see how that goes. So Connor Murphy made his re-emergence into the lineup tonight. Nick Beaudin drew out, as did Lucas Carlson, as we went back to 12 forwards and 6 defensemen. What did you think of that scheme tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, but talking about the first period, I mean, they jumped off to a pretty good start. I mean, obviously they outshot the Jackets, I think 17-4, 17-5. And really outscored. Scoring chances were 12-7, high danger chances 6-2, and even shot attempts. Blackhawks led that from 29-10. I liked it, and it just seemed, but it could have. It was 2-1 after the first period. But I think we were lucky for the Blue Jackets. I think they were lucky it wasn't more because they just totally dominated that first period. But
Yeah,
I do like this. I don't like the 7 defenseman thing either. I think they should try to just roll with the 6 going forward, but I know sometimes it's so hard because we're trying to get all these guys into the lineup, and it's like, you're trying to line juggle and, personnel shuffle every single night.
I guess, I just think for me, if we're going to do, look, uh, I don't think we've seen the end of 7 defensemen. I think that's probably going to stay throughout the season just because of personnel. But um, when they do play 12 and 6, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I think they need to figure out someone who can come up from Rockford. And granted, I'm not sure who's on the taxi squad at forward currently. I know we got on defense Bowie and Kalanick are around. I think Peary's still in the taxi squad, but I wouldn't bring Peary up. But I think whether it's a Michael Tepley who's got size, whether it's an Entwistle, whether it's how do you say his name? He just scored his first goal tonight in Rockford. Andre,
Octave Barkman, or yeah,
yeah, Out Aramakian, I think so you say
yeah,
it, the Russian.
the Rockford Russian, we'll call
Yeah, the Rockford Russian. I like that. Um,
him.
whether it's him that they give a look, like I just feel like they've got so many of these guys, and especially I think it's even highlighted even more if Dylan Strome, who was scratched tonight, missed. I guess I should have brought that up. He missed his first game of the season, and he's in concussion protocol now, along with Andrew Shaw. Depending on how long he's going to be out, let's just assume at least a week. Uh, if they're going to keep going in some of these games with 12 forwards, although, I said, like, this is the problem with the COVID protocols and the taxi squads. You can't send any of these guys on planes. So unless they drive, they're not going to be able to go anywhere if you send them down or call them up if you're not in wherever you are. So, we were talking about Wyatt Kalanick, who's played 2 games in a year. Um, it clearly is now third at best, maybe even fourth, considering Bowie has played in 2 games on the depth chart before he would even get into the lineup. You got Carlson now out. You got Bodan out. Both of those guys are going to be first 2 up. And then, like I said, Bowie's, hanging around. So Kalnick could be fourth in line. So he really serves no purpose being on the taxi squad when he could be playing in, top 4 minutes in Rockford. Problem being now you're in Columbus. Maybe it's not as bad if you're in Columbus versus Carolina, but if he's going to go back to Rockford before the team goes back to Rockford, he's got to drive because you can't put him on a plane because then he's got to quarantine. So
Yeah, is that the rules of a taxi squad player? Is you in essence travel with the team, but you don't travel with the team?
yeah, so like you're not on the active roster, but you travel with the team.
Okay.
And I
All right.
think the idea of the taxi squad is for that purpose, the travel purpose, right? Because we can't send guys to and fro for COVID reasons.
Hmm.
So we just have them go with the team. And then if we can do like a, call up or whatever, because I don't even, well, I don't know. And it's irrelevant. I don't know if they're making, I guess maybe they're making their NHL salary if they're on the taxi squad, but I know they don't count against the cap, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what the issue or deal is there. Um, but yeah, so it's the same. It's the reverse of what I just said. If you would want to call one of those guys up to get into a game here in Columbus or in Detroit this weekend, it, you're they're not going to get in.
Yeah.
Or wait, are the games against Detroit at home or are we
No,
in?
yeah, they're at home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah,
right
yeah.
at home.
I'm getting the cancellation on Saturday threw me off for a loop.
Yeah.
So I'm still like, I knew we had 3 road trips, so I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's not right. But anyway, so yeah, maybe against Detroit, maybe they can get somebody in. So I guess they just got to make it work for one more game.
But
Um,
I'd say yeah, it's like 3 Hawks that had really good games tonight. I mean, start with the old, legend himself, Patrick Kane. I mean, 398th career, I think, NHL goal, 3 primary assists, ninth multi-point outing of the season. I know think he's up to 30 points, which is only, is number 2 behind, McDavid, who's got 37.
7 points in his last 2 games.
Yeah, crazy. And then congrats to Hagel, who finally got the monkey off his back and getting that first NHL goal. I think he's now the 5th Hawk rookie to get their first NHL goal this season, with Bodan, Kurashev, Mitchell, and Suter. And finally, I think Soderberg had a really good game too. He had
Yeah,
I think a
yeah.
goal and 2 assists.
I
So,
was looking
and
at his stats, and I've been hard on him, but he's got 6 points in his last 5. So he's starting to rack up points, but I'm not sure. Like it's hard to evaluate that because I don't know if it's more of like him just getting more opportune moments with players because of injuries and COVID and that kind of thing, or what it could possibly be. But maybe it's just him. Maybe he's just getting into a groove and I'm being unfair, but um, I'd be curious to see if that continues. Kubalik scored 5-on-5 tonight. Yay! The
it was a
broker
great shot too.
also picked up an assist. I don't know if it was a primary or a secondary. Secondary again, of course. That's what he does. um, and we'll get back to him, but he did have 6 shots tonight, so that was impressive. Good to see that. Um, let's talk about the defense. So, where to start? Let's start with Connor Murphy. Drew back into the lineup tonight, played 25 minutes. What'd you think from him?
Yeah,
Anything?
I don't think he had a bad game. I think he's just trying to, like you said, now getting back into the lineup after missing what did he miss, 6 games?
Um,
I think it was around 6 games.
yeah, he missed what, 10 days roughly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I thought he was fine. I thought all of the defense was fine tonight, to be honest. Um, Mitchell, I thought was a little concerning. Um, there's, I'll maybe do a little bit of a, let's see, how do I want to put this? I haven't talked to Joe about this, so he doesn't even know about it, but we might be doing a special or starting a special soon. And there's a certain individual that this first special will be centered around, and that's Jeremy Colleton. And there's a specific reason that we would be talking about that. But one of the problems I've had with him this season is his inability to manage ice time. Ian Mitchell was playing almost 20 minutes a game for about the last at least 4 games, maybe 5. He was in that 17 to 20-minute mark. Seemed like every game that we were talking about, he was playing a new career high. Um, dropped down to 12 minutes tonight. I think he played 17 or 20 minutes the night before. That's a huge drop in minutes. Granted, you're adding Murphy back into the lineup, but I don't think Murphy, who's got a hip injury, just coming off one anyway, should be playing 25 minutes in his first game back. So that's interesting. Um, I thought Adam Boquist had probably his best game since coming
Yeah,
back.
he played. Yeah, I was going to say Boquist played pretty well tonight too.
Yeah, picked up his first goal of the season, played 15 minutes, about 4 minutes on the power play. And Zadorov. I thought Zadorov played well again, and I guess the beat writers have finally decided that he's been playing well. Um, I know Ben Pope tweeted something about him. I think having his best game of the season. I don't think tonight was his best game of the season, but I've thought 3 or 4 uh, of the last games that he's played has been really well. Played 22 minutes tonight, so increase in minutes for him. Um, Dahan, I think it was Dahan again. I guess the good thing with Dahan is that he didn't goof. That seems to be his reoccurring theme this year. So yeah, do you have any other thoughts on the
Yeah,
defense?
and I think just the only thing it's like, man, that the Laine and Atkinson are these two that just continue to be thorns in our side. I mean, I think they combined for 3 goals and 5 points in just this game. And I think that they said now have a combined 13 points, 6 goals, and 7 assists in their last 3 games against the Hawks. So, but yeah, there was just that was the only thing. Like, and I think Murphy was on the ice for both of Liney's power play goals. So, I mean, it's like you cannot give him that much room because, like, where he shot those pucks from, that's like, that's like the Ovechkin happy zone right there. You just can't let him take shots from that area. And I think they were even talking about it on the intermission, where Murphy has to be better to, you just can't give Laine that time and space to shoot. And I mean, I know at one, fool me once, shame on them, but fool me twice. It's like, hey, you got to learn from the first one. Don't give them that opportunity to have all that time and space to be able to rocket a puck past Lincoln. And
Well, I guess that's a comment that I noticed. So maybe this is a part of the penalty kill that we were talking about being not very good. Um, so they've been playing, I think, as a defensive pair, Murphy and Dahan together. And we've talked about this before because remember earlier it was Murphy and Keith, I think, to begin the year. And, it was one of those. I think I had said maybe it's just something where you've got two vets and nobody knows who's in charge on the ice, like who's doing the audibles kind of thing, and then both get kind of out of position. Whereas if you've got Keith with Mitchell, obviously Keith's going to tell Mitchell what to do. You got Zadorov and Boquist. Zadorov is the guy. Murphy, unfortunately, gets paired with Dahan in this scenario because you've only got the 6 defenseman, or I guess no. Who is yeah? Murphy's with Dahan, and I think that's maybe part of the problem. Where if you had, say, someone else that wasn't, a top 4, or not necessarily a top 4, but if you had Bodan in there, let's say, versus, then you could flip, one shift it's Murphy and Bodan, the next shift it's Dahan and Bodan kind of idea, or something to that nature where you don't have the two vets together, because the pair of vets together on defense, that seems to be when they get burned, which is weird, but it's kind of becoming a trend, at least this
yeah,
season. So maybe that's something they can look at. Um, I obviously think Dahan's been the weak link on the defense this year. I think was it Bo Dan who got sat in Carolina, only played 5 minutes the last 2 periods. Um, Yet Dahan had an egregious turnover in his own end, and apparently gets to. I mean, I think that's again with the culture which everyone's been talking about, us included, about this team that they're creating, and it's like, so only the young players get sat for making bad plays, which we'll get to in a minute with Kubalik. But like, there needs to be some accountability. Like, if Torts was coaching this team, a lot of these guys would not be happy. Um, and I don't know. It seems like the vets, because of their status on the team, might get away with a little more. And I don't think that's fair. Like, you should be playing the players that are making the best plays to win the game. Um, this is not, we're not the Ottawa Senators or the Detroit Red Wings where we're going to be terrible, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be a depth thing too. You don't have enough on the depth chart to
Well,
bench these guys, but
yeah, but on the other end too, I'm not even talking about benching.
or just yeah, let's sit them
This is
maybe
in
for
game stuff. So I'm just
yeah,
talking
like
about
yeah,
like
right. I see what you're saying.
increase minutes for the rookies, or even if you don't want to give it to a rookie, increase it for whoever. And that's like, again, with just the player management, time management. Connor Murphy, again, coming off a supposed hip injury. Why is he playing 25 minutes in his first game back? Like, 20 minutes is like a big minute amount for a top four defenseman. That's like
Yeah,
top
yeah,
20.
and I would think they'd have to clear that with the doctors, if they say, okay, I don't know if Colleton or his staff talk to the team doctors to say, okay, well, Murphy's healthy, right? Yeah, he's healthy. Okay, could he play? Is he good to play 20 to 25 minutes a night? And I'm sure after consulting with both Murphy and the doctors, they have to get their approval to say, yeah, there's no limit on him. He can play however many minutes, you want him to play. And maybe that's why they felt like, okay, after consulting with both him and the doctors, that he was good to play the minutes he played tonight.
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess where I'm coming from is, as Sherrod is always, I think, trademarked at this point, Connor Murphy is made of glass, and he gets hurt usually about this time in the season, usually 2 to 3 months in, and he starts to wear down and break down. And this is a team that has, at this point, playoff aspirations, um, and depending on injuries, potentially more than that if they get in. So Murphy's the guy you need. So is it? I know this is a game like we've talked about against Columbus. This is probably who you're going to be battling for that last playoff spot. And unfortunately, we went to a shootout or overtime again tonight, so they got a point out of it. But even so, like, Boquist was out about the same, well, not about the same time frame, a little bit longer, but they eased him in. And obviously he's a younger player, and I understand that, but it just seems like, especially when it's a hip leg problem, you know what I mean? Like, you're just sending him full blast out there. It seems, I guess I would advise against that. But anyway, and we haven't mentioned Duncan Keith because he's a god, and of course 26 minutes again tonight, +2, 1 assist, 4 shots, a block shot. What more can you say?
Right. Yeah, that guy's just a freak of nature. That's we've come to know for so many years.
Yeah,
So
that guy is like a god at this point. Um, let's get into, what did you think of Pius Suter tonight? I thought he deserved a better game. He
yeah,
got
no, I
picked
think
up
he
one assist.
created some chances. Yeah, and had some shots that and he didn't do anything like that jumped off the page, but he also didn't do anything egregious to where we're talking like, oh my god, So, but I thought he had a solid game.
I've almost forgot this happened, but what did you think about David Camp's goal that was taken away in the subsequent goalie interference call?
Yeah, and it's like with that, I kind of feel like, well, what can you do? There's no way to really stop yourself when you're coming in on a 2-on-1, almost whatever, what I don't know, even if it was a 2-on-1, but you're trying to get to the net and get a rebound if it's there, but and I know it's like, you got to watch out for the goaltender, and God forbid you bump him, yeah, you're getting an interference penalty. And I just don't know. I don't agree with that call because especially like what more can the player do? But
Was he
they're
shoved? I didn't really see much of the replay, but I
yeah,
think
I didn't know. It didn't look like he was
yeah,
shoved,
he
but
just kind of skated in.
yeah, he was just coming really quick and unfortunately couldn't get out of the way. So I think that's just a tacky call, but it is what it is. They're trying to protect goaltenders apparently from, major injuries that maybe happen when that sometimes happens when another player crashes into them. But, it's just to me, it's like I don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember, but was it Columbus where they had a goal taken away against Chicago? I want to say it
Maybe
was because it was
one of their last games they played. I don't remember.
was it hit with a high stick or was that on DeBrincat? I'm trying to remember. There was a goal that was taken away, at least one.
Yeah, it may
Maybe
have
there
been
was a
now that
goal.
you think about mention it, it might have been DeBrincat with the high stick. I don't know
Yeah, I
though.
think so. So yeah, the Hawks are getting burned, I guess, with goals being taken away. But it is what it is. Again, we've talked about the officiating. I thought, unfortunately, I think that played a big role into the game tonight. Um, staying with forwards, Janmark played almost 19 minutes. Really picked up some slack from Strom. Picked up an assist, was a +2. He's continuing to be impressive. I don't think you can ask for much more from him. But I guess that'll bring us to Kubalik. Finally got off the Schneid, got that 5-on-5 goal. Although he had one against Detroit, I believe. Also picked up that secondary assist. Still finished a -1 tonight. Had 6 shots on goal, as I mentioned earlier. Love to see that. Again, time management with Colleton, under 15 minutes for Kubalik. I thought Kubalik did, which we'll get to on the last goal, was his fault. But again, when you're having trouble scoring before tonight, uh, you need him to play more, especially now. Strome's out of the lineup on top of it. So I'm not sure like I don't know what's going on with player management and time on ice. Just seems like the whole season it's just been terrible. And I guess to that, before we get to the last goal with Kubalik, Philip Kurashev, 100% at the faceoff circle, played 12 minutes tonight. That's ridiculous. He's been one of your best rookies, and he's not getting rewarded. Do you have any idea why they're not playing him more? Do you think I'm crazy that he should play more?
No, I agree. They got to try to, but I don't know what, like I said, what Colleton's trying to do. If he's trying to just balance these lines or trying to get to match them up. Maybe that could be like an ice time kind of Achilles heel is you're trying to match up your lines with Columbus's lines, and I know with Columbus being the home team, they get the last change. So I don't know if it's more so that you're trying to match up players to match up with Columbus players, so you have kind of an even playing surface on the ice, for each line. Maybe that would be my reasoning for some guys getting more minutes over others, but that's the only thing I could kind of think of.
Yeah, I don't, and I understand that argument as well, but I just why he hasn't been bumped up to top 6 minutes. Like, I understand Ryan Carpenter is a two-way forward, but he's what 30 years old, almost 30 years old. Played 15 minutes tonight, 33% at the faceoff circle. Again, most of that time, 3 minutes of it the shorthanded. But he also got 3 minutes of power play time. Khrushchev got 2. Why is Ryan Carpenter getting more power play time than Philip Khrushchev?
That's
That's
what I kind of thought too. And do you think they're using Carpenter more as like that, the presence that Shaw had on the power play, like that, nitty gritty player that's going to, get to the front of the net and just kind of be more, of a nuisance to an opposition's penalty kill unit?
Probably, I assume. I mean, Soderberg got time there as well. He played almost 4 minutes. And perhaps, how many of his points tonight were on the power play? Uh,
Soderberg's was it?
the first goal was, didn't he have 2 assists? Okay, so just one, his goal. Everything
Yeah.
else is 5-on-5. So maybe you don't question that as much, but still, 4 minutes for Soderberg on that power play. That's at 35 years old. Seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe cut that in half to 2 minutes. I'd be okay and bump Kurashev up a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Give Carpenter another 30 seconds. Granted, we're arguing 30 seconds. We're arguing, nuts and bolts, really. But I just, I would like to see Kurashev get some more time. Now back to Kubalik. So on the last Columbus goal tonight, and this is important because the goal came at the 16-minute mark. So there are 4 minutes. You're under 5 minutes in the third period. You've got a 1-goal lead. We've talked about Kubalik not being good defensively. Now, I know you're probably looking for him to maybe score, but, and I even tweeted this out if people are wondering who tweeted this out from our Twitter account. Recap of that goal. And I don't know who the puck carrier was, but it was with Columbus, and they're skating out of their own end through the neutral zone. And you can see when the play starts developing, Kubalik is between the red line and the blue line on the Hawks side of the ice. And he's just standing there, and they're carrying the puck in, and they run it around the boards, and Laine goes behind the net to retrieve the puck, and then he's going to pass it up the boards to Kubalik. There's no other Hawks around that can get that puck off the boards. The Han's in the area, but he's not, with assuming the velocity on the shot, not going to get the puck. Plus, the goal is to get the puck out of the defensive zone. So Kubalik, it just gets caught watching and not moving his feet, just standing there. And we've talked about this. One of the reasons I call him Sandbagger and why that name developed when we were playing back in the day was because he would get rewarded off of other players' hard work. So he's standing at the blue line on the play, hoping that the puck gets out and that they can get an odd man rush going the other way. Again, not a horrible decision necessarily, because you want to, the next goal would end the game probably. But when the goalie and you have to be, he's watching the game. That's what makes this to me even more egregious. He sees Lankinen go behind the net to get the puck. Well, and Lankinen just from the play developing, he's going to shoot the puck or pass it off the boards to you. You're the only person in the area. And he just stands there to wait for the puck to come to him rather than going up the boards to get the puck. Well, if you're again watching this clip I send, Patrick Laine comes like a bat out of hell behind him, behind the play, cuts literally Kubalik off, gets to the puck on the boards, passes it out to, was it Bjorkstrand?
Yeah.
Yes. Who's wide open in the net. And on the play, DeHaan, because Kubalik missed his guy and didn't get the puck in the play, DeHaan now has to go over to the boards to try to get to Laine. And I'm pretty sure it was Murphy on the ice with DeHaan. But somehow Murphy doesn't, because that was a 5-on-5 goal, and somehow Murphy doesn't have a minus. So maybe I'm missing that, but I'm pretty sure it was Murphy that was the other defenseman. And I think it was Lucas Walmark who's on the boards with DeHaan. And you got now 3 Hawks on that board, and Laine, he's drawn 3 Hawks over there. And again, Lankinen's coming back from behind the net, so he's not even in his, goalie stance yet. And you got a wide open net for Bjorkstrand, which, again, at under 5 minutes in the game, that kind of play cannot happen. I know Joe wasn't here for the last game, but we talked about bad turnovers, and those weren't even in the last 5 minutes of the game. Those were throughout the game, but this is like even you should be even more aware of what's going on in the game. And off of that, let's go to Lankinen. So I, I must have missed something because everyone's talking about Lankinen having a bad game. His numbers clearly say he had a bad game. 833 save percentage, 25 saves on 30 shots. However, you can't always go off numbers with goalies. Look at Robin Leonard's numbers last year. They were terrible with Chicago, but he was standing on his head. Same with Crawford. And I don't like I was Crawford's one of his biggest critics, but like I, three of their goals tonight out of the five were on the power play. And the first goal, maybe you can argue that he should have stopped that because it went 5-hole. But again, it's a defensive breakdown that led to a breakaway. And normally, especially with a rookie goalie, those are 50-50. He's going to stop it or they're going to score. I mean, if you go back and look at like statistics, I think entering the game for goals saved above average or whatever that stat is, Lankinen was fourth in the league behind Gibson, Vasilevsky, and I think Grubar. So there's only three goalies that had better like numbers in terms of goals saved. Like the
Right. And for everybody that saying, like I said, yeah, and yeah, we got to remember, yeah, I mean, the guy's he's a rookie goaltender, and you're going up against snipers like Patrick Laine on on a consistent basis. You're not going to be able to stop every single one of them, and especially like like I mentioned, where Laine's in that happy zone with nobody, even getting a stick on his shot. I mean, Laine's got a hell of a shot, and he's gonna pick. When he's got time like that, he can pick the corners on basically any goaltender.
yeah,
So
like I think both of those shots are lasers. I mean, that's like whether it's an Ovechkin or whoever you want to talk about. I mean, even Kane. I mean, there are players where, as you were saying, they can just pick spots that 99.9% of people couldn't score from
right,
or score. And it's
but and anybody criticizing Lincoln for maybe his regulation play, I mean, he made up for it in the overtime and in the shootout because,
oh yeah.
what the stops he made in overtime. We should, yeah, we if it wasn't for him in net, we'd probably be walking away with 1 point instead of two. Let's just make that a fact. But the fact that he stood on his head and made the saves he did in the overtime and the shootout is why we left this game with 2 points.
Well, yeah, I mean, in that overtime, the first, I think I sent it to you. I don't know. I could be off on this, but like 10 seconds. Uh, well, it was probably more than that because I remember they won the draw. Kane went out, and then they came back from their own end. But Foligno basically almost shoved the puck in, and that just wasn't that a time either. But that was early. Then there was another instance where I don't remember where the Hawks were. I think they somehow two of the Hawks got like taken down or fell down, and they were like either behind the goal line or over in the corner, and there were like two of the Blue Jackets right in front of Lincoln, and it was basically a 2-on-0, and somehow he stopped the pucks. I think there was one. I think there were two. What was it? The last 4 seconds, 5 seconds, they had like two shots at the end. I mean, there was
Yeah.
all overtime. He was just keeping them in the game.
And and it's like for anyone too, going back to his play and during the regulation time, yeah, he gave up the first goal on the breakaway, but how about the goalie? The puck he stopped on the penalty shot too. So
Yeah, I completely forgot about the penalty shot. This game with the officials was just like I don't like it when again, this may be different from like minor league hockey, where there's a lot more penalties called. But when you're at this level, I don't like it when there's this, like, half the goals. There were 11 goals tonight, and 5 of them on the power play. And Chicago's not exactly a team that's been scoring in bunches lately. So the fact that they even won this game, just on that fact alone, and then you add in Dylan Strome being out of the lineup. Granted, he was struggling too, but this was a big 2 points tonight.
Right.
It's unfortunate that it didn't end in regulation like it could have, and I didn't watch any of the post game. I read some comments. Apparently, Patrick Kane was not happy about them
No,
blowing.
yeah, and I listened to his comments, and yeah, and I mean he said it too. Yeah, we need to stop. When we're up 2 goals, in the third period, we need to stop. Kind of it seemed like we're just letting the foot off the gas a little bit, and that allows the team to get back into the game. But yeah, he said we got to nip that in the bud real quick. So
Yeah, well, and going back to Kubalik, to making the analogy to Torts, like I said, if Torts was the coach of this team, and this is, I guess, is like the emphasis that I want to make on that play on that fifth goal. Luc Dubois was literally traded because of plays like that. He was benched literally a whole game after what, seven, I think two whole periods basically, I think, early on in the season, in which obviously stuff like that had led to the deterioration of the relationship between him and Tortorella. But and even Laine. I mean, but his wasn't even play. His was just, mouthing off to somebody. But you can't get caught like that in the NHL level, or at the NHL level, especially with under 5 minutes to go in a game you have to win. Like we've been saying, this is a team that you are fighting to get into the playoffs against. And maybe Dallas, because they've got games in hand. I was looking at them in the standings. It's very possible.
But I know, didn't Pat Foley talk about like they just don't they have they'll have like 43, either 43 games in 73 days or 46 games in 76 days. I couldn't remember what it was, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
that's
And
gonna be a problem for them, I think, because
yeah, and
that's a
they've
lot.
lost 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Like, they're struggling. Well, and I think that started with the Hawks down in Dallas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're right.
they're I don't know, man. Like, maybe they'll get into this last playoff discussion. I was looking at the standings, and if they win all of their games in hand, I think, well, not all of their games. So the Hawks they're up 10 points on Dallas, I believe. And I think the Hawks they have 7 games in hand on the Hawks. So that's 14 points. So there's 2 games is the difference, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dallas would have to, they'd have to win all of those games. Unlikely. But, we'll see how this goes. Right now, they're so far back and with so many games in hand, I don't think we can really talk about them in this discussion. But the other thing is, too, this team could honestly, if they can continue to play at the clip that they're playing at, they could finish third. And then by this team, I'm talking about the Hawks. Most people, I don't think, have them. If they have them making the playoffs, it's fourth. But, and I mean, I don't remember if we talked about this, Joe, but can you imagine? I mean, just think about this. And this is going to lead into the special, too, that I have kind of percolating in my head. But can you imagine if we're in the playoffs come, was it May
May.
12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, mid-May, and we're the third seed, and we're playing the second seed, and it's Jeremy Colliton's Chicago Blackhawks flying down to Joe Quenneville's Florida Panthers. What a story that would be.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I mean, I hope we see it, but again, and I know I don't want to put the cart before the
Oh no,
horse.
I'm not. I fully expect him to probably be for that 4th spot. But if they can keep racking up points and beating, like that's the key.
Right.
If they're going to get the 3rd spot, they've got to beat these teams in regulation.
And I know we talked about this coming on the air, and for the Blackhawks fans that follow us and look at, I mean, we're finishing out February here with a game against the Blue Jackets and then 2 against the Red Wings, which I think we all have to agree we got to win the all 3 of these games, because the only reason I'm saying that is you look at our schedule for March, you're starting off with 3 against the Lightning, then you go to 2 with Dallas, 2 with Florida, 2 more against the Lightning. So you got 5 games against the Lightning. You've got 4 against the Panthers, 2 against the Stars, 2 against the Predators, and 1 against the Hurricanes to round out the month. I mean, that's a dogfight to say the least for this team. I mean, to have to play the Lightning 5 times and the Panthers 4. So 9 of your what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 9 of your 13 games are against the top 2 teams in the division. That's a stretch.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a test of the team. Um, and again, we're going to be sitting here talking about it. I expect probably by the end of this week, beginning of next week, which will be March, that I would hope we hear some news on Doc coming up. His cast should be coming off.
Or even Taves too. But I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
that's the big one, right? I mean, I think everybody kind of assumes that if we can get to the playoffs, like if we're in a playoff spot, Doc is probably going to be back. Maybe, I mean, even Nylander. I mean, Nylander has posted videos of himself working out with his knee. So it's entirely possible that if we get to mid-May, this being the end of February, because Nylander's farther along than Doc in terms of, I think they had about the same timetable, about 4 to 5 months. So in Nylander's surgery was about 3 weeks ahead of Doc. I think his surgery was in the 28th of December.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it was around there.
yeah, and who knows? I mean, we don't talk about it, but Brent Seabrook's still around.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love
I
to bet
mean,
on him too. But yeah, I know. I don't know if Seabrook's going to come back.
oh, I hope not. Like that would be like I say that as a joke because like if Seabrook comes back, honestly, that'd be like the worst thing that could happen to this team right now for numerous reasons. Like number one, uh, I like he just like he. Granted, maybe Father Time has come and visited him and given him the fountain of youth, and he can come back and surprise the hell out of me and everyone else. But I think most people would agree he's not an NHL caliber defenseman anymore. On top of that, him making a stink of wanting to play would also be horrific with all these kids and everything. So, yeah, that's sarcasm suggesting that Seabrook come back, but yeah, obviously Nylander, Doc, Taves are the 3 that uh, will be curious to see what transpires with them. Also, we haven't heard anything about Zach Smith. I don't
Yeah.
think he changes anything with this team, but it's interesting they haven't talked about him at all. It kind of feels like they're just paying because he was supposed to be ready for the season. So it kind of feels like they might just be paying him to sit at home. Um, who knows? And hopefully Andrew Shaw can come back. We don't know. And then it would be interesting too to hear what's going on with Strom. I want to get your thoughts on that because I was talking to somebody about the Dylan Strom situation. So they said that he was concussed like 3 games ago before tonight. So it wasn't even last game. It was like 2 games before the game in Carolina. And we had been talking, and other people, including the guys on the broadcast, Strom's been struggling. So, like, if Strom was in concussion protocol, like they did the test and he passed, and he said he was fine, but like he's not playing well, like at all. Like he's being actually like pretty bad. Wouldn't you like? I mean, I guess maybe that's why they finally. Because like I don't believe they said he finally said something to them after Saturday's game, but uh or was it Saturday's game? If it was Friday's game, because Saturday's was postponed.
Yeah.
So after Friday's game, like they had said something about him, coming to them and saying that he was experiencing symptoms. Like if you're on the staff, wouldn't you have been like, "Hey, we're gonna sit you for a game because of whatever," or like, "Are you legit being honest with us or whatever because you're not playing like yourself?" It's like that.
Well,
Like
I would
when he
imagine,
said
do you
that,
think they did tests on him to, say, all right, hey, are you for sure ready to go? And maybe the test did, and then but then maybe afterward as he played, it just progressively got worse.
I mean, that's possible for sure.
So
But like concussions usually rear their head pretty early. I mean, if we're talking like 3 games prior, because they're not playing back to back games either. So we're talking like a week. Uh, so I don't know when that would have been what, maybe the last game against Columbus in Chicago.
yeah, I mean, did they say, was it from a hit, or I never knew like what happened to where how he suffered
I
this.
don't think they said, but they said that they tested him and that he passed, and he said he was fine, and that after Saturday, or I keep saying Saturday, this schedule's got me off for a loop. After Friday's game, maybe Saturday morning, he told them he wasn't feeling well, supposedly. But I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they're just saying that and that they, were seeing his play and we're like, hey, you're not right, and we can tell, and we're going to sit you for a while and do more weather
Yeah, it
more.
could be. I mean, yeah, we don't know, like I said, what went on behind closed doors, but my guess is the way that how the NHL is so strict with, the concussion protocols nowadays. I would think if he took some tests, he passed, but then afterward, just maybe didn't feel right, and then maybe retested him after playing, and it just if things got progressively worse, then they had to react to those results. So
Yeah, I guess my point is I'm just a little concerned that they put him through tests and that like they supposedly passed, and then there had to be something in his play. I mean, we were all talking about it. Like he wasn't playing well. That normally, that would be like an alarm bell or a red flag that hey, something's not right here. Like Brian Bickle, for example, way back in
yeah.
the day. But anyway, I hope that he gets better. I hope we get a little bit more information on that, just so we can kind of clear that up.
And then
Um,
looking to the next game, do you think Lincoln gets another start?
no, I think Subban starts.
Okay. So,
Um,
because I know they have the games against the Red Wings at home are back to back. It's Saturday and Sunday.
well, maybe this will be a good time to give Lincoln a little bit more of a breather. Maybe you play Subban next game here on, was it Thursday against
Thursday.
Columbus,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
then you play him again against Detroit, and then Lincoln gets in.
On
Uh,
Sunday.
yeah, well, yeah, unless Subban shits the bed on Thursday.
Hmm.
But like, so like, I mean, you made a good point. I think about Columbus kind of putting up all these goals against us. Did Subban played against Columbus, correct?
Let me look in their last
I think
few
he played one of
games.
the games.
Let me see. I'm going back to Thursday, or no, yeah, the last Saturday, the overtime win against the Blue Jackets. I think yeah, Lankinen played. I think he played Lincoln and played both of those games. And then going back the series, it was in January. Yeah, Lankinen won. And then, I don't know. It's saying, why does it keep saying Lincoln? Did Lincoln play every game against Columbus? Or did
Here, I'm looking at. Oh, that's not giving me what I want. Yeah, so that's not what I want either. I guess he did because Lankinen's last or Malcolm Subban's last game was against Detroit on the 15th.
okay? Yeah, I think Subban. It says according to Subban's only played 4 games.
Yeah, I would throw Subban out there just to get a different look against Columbus because here's the other thing. I mean, we haven't really talked about this yet, so maybe it's of note. Um, this is what the 6th game or 5th game, excuse me, against Columbus already.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday will be the 6th, and Lankinen's played all of them against them.
Yep.
So maybe just to get a different look, like I said, it at least appears to me Lankinen's weakness so far seems to be 5-hole. And obviously, that's exactly where they went on that first goal on the breakaway. So maybe just since Subban's only played 4 games, the tape on it might not be there either. So maybe you throw him out there to just kind of, throw off Columbus a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. So
Yeah.
that's I was gonna say now with you got the games Thursday and then a back to back Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know how they're gonna do the goaltending situation.
Yeah, Subban's probably going to play at least one of those games and against Detroit for sure.
Yeah.
I guess I mean maybe throw Lankinen out there, right? Again, another one of those confidence things. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was Lankinen played a game against Columbus where he kind of got lit up, and
Yeah, I
then
think that he was the one game where we lost 6-5, and that was kind of I think the game where he, didn't have his best game. But I think then that you looked at the next game after that, um, we won in overtime 3-2,
that against
and
Columbus too.
yeah, and then the first 2 games against Columbus, we lost 2-1 and then won 3-1. So, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I won't be mad if Lankinen starts. Obviously, I'm his biggest cheerleader.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that might be an interesting maneuver, at least in gamesmanship, to throw Subban out there. Also, have you noticed we haven't seen Merzlikins either since that first game against them?
no, yeah, you're right. It's been Corpusalo.
Yeah, so I wonder if you could get Torts to throw Merzlikins out there. I don't know when the last time Merzlikins played was.
I wonder if that's just because if they're throwing Lankinen out there because he likes competing against Corpusalos, it's their countrymen together,
Yeah,
maybe
well, you mean from the Hawks' perspective or from just both teams?
maybe from both teams' perspective, like Corpusalo likes going up against Lankinen and Lankinen likes going up against Corpusalo. Maybe that kind of motivates them both to play better. But
Corpusalo's numbers this year are pretty horrific. They put him up before the game, but I don't know if the season stat is updated for tonight's game or not. But so what am I on? I'm on NHL.com. So hopefully this has been updated. But he's played in 14 games. His save percentage is .886, and his goals against average is 3.5. That's not
yeah,
good.
that's pretty high.
And he's played 4 games against Chicago out of that 10. Or excuse me, out of the 14. Jesus. Um. So yeah, I maybe you could get a Subban versus Merzlikins on Thursday, just to see, but who knows?
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, is there any kind of other than goaltending, any kind of lineup changes you might want to see?
I mean, I don't know. It's like who else? Who would you? What other defenseman now? Because Carlson's hurt, right? He's got a groin injury.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So yeah, I thought he was just scratched, but you're right. He's injured.
Yeah. So I would like to see Kalanick get in there, but yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do it. So my guess is they probably roll with the same six that they had tonight. But
Honestly, as big a fan of Kalanick as I am, if they're going to throw a seventh defenseman in there, I think I'd rather it be Bodan at this point.
yeah,
Just
I mean, yeah, I
because,
think Bodan will draw back into the lineup for Thursday. But it's just a matter then of who doesn't get in.
well, I don't think they sit Boquist. Do you think they'd sit Mitchell? Or do you think they just go back to seven defensemen?
They might, yeah. Then I would say if they want to draw Bodan it back into the lineup, they might go with 7 defensemen again.
So who do you take out? Walmart?
Probably.
Okay.
So that would be my guess, but again, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But with that, that will wrap up this game review. Again, good news. I think we've kind of been a little bit dire based on how the game went, but it's still good news. Blackhawks pick up their 10th victory on the season. What are they now? 10-6-4,
Yep,
I
10-6
believe.
four.
Yeah. So they defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in a shootout by a score of 6-5. And shout outs, we didn't talk about him, but shout out to Alex DeBrincat with the shootout game winner. He also picked up an assist tonight as well. So shout out again to DeBrincat, who's been playing out of his mind since he's returned from COVID. But with that, everybody, again, stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, get your vaccine if you're in line. We're coming out of this thing. We've got, I believe, about 50 million people now have gotten their first shot of the vaccine, and I believe about 13 million, I think, are at full vaccination, about 6% of the population. So we are slowly getting there. Going to get back to normal soon. Hopefully, we'll be back at the United Center cheering on our Hawks. But until next time, we will see you on Friday morning, I believe, with our game review of Thursday's matchup. So until then, let's go Hawks.
All right, thanks again, everybody. Go Hawks.